There. Can anyone see me or hear me? So I had to grab some tissue. Hi, Mark. How are you? Okay. I've got I've got notes here. Um, the 10 things I wish I had done before I got my service dog, Stella. I wish I had been smart enough to get pet insurance. And the reason I say that is due to Stella getting speargrass in her foot or her throat when she was a young pup before I even got her. The total vet bills before she was 5 years old could pay for a second service dog. It was over 25,000 in total. She's had 3 surgeries trying to remove this seed that had moved into her throat. Last year, they did a CT scan and discovered that it was up around her jugular, and they had to cut her open from her jawbone down to her chest to remove all of the infection because it was strangling her. So, definitely, if you're going to plan to get a service dog or you need to get a service dog or a service animal, always, always, always get pet insurance because it could save your butt financially. Also, I needed and still need much more knowledge about the breed of dog that you're getting. I happen to have a golden doodle. Um, I had no idea how to care for her coat. I have never had to have a dog groomed. I've had whippets for 25 years and they're short hair, and the only thing you have to do is basically cut their nails and take care of their teeth. With Stella, it's a lot more work to keep her brushed, make sure that she doesn't have seeds in her coat that could enter in through her skin, which is what speargrass did to her. Um, Also, she is extremely high strung, but very, very work oriented. She loves working. Don't be surprised if at some point she comes up here and comes across my lap because she gave me a migraine earlier today, and she'll most likely do it again as it's getting closer to coming. I also I need to take her in every 6 to 8 weeks to be groomed because being a service dog, she needs to be, sorry, a little tongue tied because this is only my second live ever. Um, she needs to be clean and presentable at all times. You can't have a smelly or muddy or um, just a messy looking dog if it's a service dog. They need to be kept clean because of where they go. Because a service dog can basically go anywhere with me. They can go into the hospitals. When had my gallbladder out earlier here, she was in the hospital the entire time except during the surgery. My husband had to come and take her, but once I was back in the room after recovery, she was with me. And that is one reason you always have to keep your service dog clean and presentable. because a hospital is a sterile area. Just like if you worked or went into a restaurant and you're sitting close to the kitchen, you don't want a dirty dog that may have crap all over them or food all over their feet, whatever that can be tracked in around other people's food. Also, she requires a lot more exercise and playtime than some days I am unable to do because of my physical limitations. A lot of the time, my husband would take her outside and throw a ball for her, or roughhouse with her. My son, while he lived with us, he finally moved out last month. Um, he would roughhouse with her like you wouldn't believe. He was her best playmate ever. Like she would go nuts to play with him. Number three, it is best to know the type of gear and such for each season. Okay, because you don't want a vest that is super thick and heavy in the summer, especially with a long haired breed or any breed actually, because they're working, they're out there, they need to have the equipment that's not going to cause them to be uncomfortable, which makes them less capable of working to their fullest potential. So I have a vest that's a little thicker that she can wear in the fall and winter and on the cold days. And I also have a vest that is basically mesh with a little section for the patches. So that one's good for the hotter weather. Okay, so you can easily use that any time of year. But the warmer one that she's got, her professional vest that I got from the program, is quite thick and warm, in my opinion, anyways. Hi, Caleb. I know your name. I just can't think of it because I still haven't slept. So I am very, very tired. Um, nice to see you come in. And also, always, you'll find most service dog handlers, especially in the summer, will have boots or socks on their dogs. Adele, sorry. Thank you. Um, because if you can't put foot on your bare foot on the concrete for 5 minutes and it be comfortable, what do you think the poor dog's going to feel? They can burn the pads of their feet, which can be very, very painful for them. So I have a pair of socks that she can wear on the really like medium warm days. And then I have a pair of boots that will protect her feet during the heat, during the snow, because in the winter time up here in Canada, we get a lot of snow and they salt everything. And the salt gets between their toes and under their, like between their pads and their feet. It can be painful for them. So it's better to have boots on them when you take them outside, going from here to there so that the dog's foot doesn't get hurt because it's uncomfortable for them. Like if it's uncomfortable for you, it's going to be uncomfortable for the dogs. And for them to work their best, they should have the proper footwear. And it took me a while to clue into that because she was my first service dog. Um, and I was 50 when I got her. So I had no clue on any of this. I had never had to have boots or shoes for my dog. I'd never had to have different equipment. I find because I use a wheelchair a lot of the time because I can't walk very far. My back's destroyed. Um, I can walk for about 3, 4 minutes and then that's it. So I have a power chair and just a portable one that you can like travel. It's actually called the travel buggy. It's a little power wheelchair that you can stick in the trunk of your car. And that way, when I go out, she can walk beside me or trot beside me. And she loves it. She looked, hi, Zuna, nice to see you. Um, like she loves prancing beside my wheelchair. I can go full kilter, and she's got her tail up in the air. She prances like there's no tomorrow. Um, but with the socks and the boots, you've got to make sure you've got the right size. Because if you're trotting somewhere or you're going somewhere, and one of the boots falls off, you're going to have to turn around and go back because that kind of stuff for dogs is not cheap. Her name is Stella. Stella, come here. Come up here. Come here. Come here. This. Oh, come here. Oh, you can't see her. There she is. That is Miss Stella. She is a second generation golden doodle. And I have had whippets for 25 years, so I had no clue how to care for the longer coats. Down. I know I'm going to have a migraine that she is alerting to that. So you'll see her off and on because I have a background on. But with the boots and socks, yes, she definitely shows more of the poodle than the golden doodle, like the golden retriever. She got all the poodles in the family, Mark, I swear. Like everybody who sees her out in public thinks that she's a poodle. Don't you dare bark. Daddy's just fainting. So she may bark. And if she does, I truly apologize. Um, but also with the leashes with her, because I do use a leash with her. I don't have to legally in Canada or the USA. I don't have to legally use a leash with her, but I choose to for her safety and for my feeling like comfort because I worry that someone will try to take her because she is such a beautiful dog and she is very well trained. Um, you also need to know and fully understand you will never pee alone, poop alone, breathe alone, even go into a drawer or a closet alone if you get a surface dog. Hi, Barbie D. She is literally my Velcro dog. Like, I can't even excuse the choice of words. I can't even fart alone. She is that close to me. And I knew that having a service dog, they're with you 24/7, but you truly don't realize how with you they are until you have one with you. It can be very frustrating sometimes. Like there are times I actually close the bathroom door so I can have 5 minutes to myself. But she will start getting upset if I do it for much longer than that. Young lady with service dog people have literally, yeah, I'm not surprised, Adele. It does happen here in Canada and the US where people try to take other service dogs. I was told when I first entered this program, which I fluked on finding. Like I had contacted every program in North America trying to find out what I needed to do to get a service dog for my issues. Okay, because I fibromyalgia and chronic fatigue. I get migraines. My back is absolutely destroyed. I have osteoarthritis in my spine. I have herniated discs, fused discs, discs that are half an inch over to the right. Plus, I have complex PTSD from the abuse I suffered in foster care, which will be another live that I'll be doing with a Q&A as well, which you guys can ask me anything. I don't mind talking about it. It actually has helped keep me sane being able to talk about it. But you don't realize how much these dogs are with you once you do get one. Like, you never are ever alone. Like, even going to the gas station for a soda or going grocery shopping. I mean, they literally are with you at all times. Even when I'm laying in bed, she is here with me, no matter what. Yeah, it's pretty bad, Adele. I've had actually people tell me I don't need a service dog. Um, Yet they don't know what I deal with. I had gotten so bad um with my with my PTSD because of what I was dealing with. I had met my biological father when I was 18. When I left my first husband shortly after, who I'd married just after I turned 19. I left him 3 weeks after we married because I woke up to him beating me, punching me in the stomach and in the face, and I was pregnant. So I ran, and my birth father took me in. Okay. I lost him in 2017. Like, I had gotten very, very close with my dad. And when I lost him, I was there when he took his last breath. And I have been dealing with PTSD most of my life because of the abuse that I went through. And to be honest, when I lost him, it's almost like my PTSD went into overdrive. I was working as a caregiver for dementia and Alzheimer's patients, the most difficult ones that we had in with the company, like the ones that would always kick and scream and cause issues. For some reason, I was able to keep them calm. So I was always with the most difficult clients. But when I lost my dad, I wasn't even able to work anymore. I couldn't even go out of my house alone. I wouldn't even go to the gas station without my husband or son coming with me, and that's 2 minutes away from me. So, having a service dog, I can actually leave the house alone now. Well, semi alone because I have Stella now. My husband can stay at home and do things because he's retired. He came out of retirement for 2 years to get her for me, which I can never thank him enough for. I did the owner trainer program. Um, so it was a little cheaper than the 25 to 40K to which is what service dogs usually cost. Okay, and I had called every service dog company in North America that I could find, and I only got one answer from one company. The rest never did respond to my inquiries, and they said flat out, "We will not do service dogs for anybody but first responders and military." Didn't matter that I had PTSD, that I was a shut in at that point, and that I had so many other health issues. They didn't care. It was strictly first responders and military, and those were the only people they trained dogs for. And then I came across this company on Facebook, which, thank God, literally, thank you, Lord, was 10 minutes from my home. He had just started the company, and he agreed to help me get a service dog. Well, he got me in contact with one of the breeders he deals with. I called her on a Monday. She had a litter, but they were all spoken for. So I put my name in for a male from the next litter. Well, that Wednesday, like the Wednesday of the same week, I got a phone call and asked if I would take a female a little bit older. And I said, well, how much older? And she said 10. And I'm thinking 10 months. She was 10 weeks. So I went that Friday, and because I live on an island, I went to the mainland, picked her up, literally walked off the ferry, paid for her, picked her up, and came back. Well, rode off the ferry in my scooter at the time, and came back onto the same ferry and came. Yes, cats can be a big thing with, they can basically be service animals as well. Have you considered, Adele, have you considered getting a dog and training them to be a service dog for you? I don't know where you live. I believe it's somewhere down in Australia or New Zealand area. Um, and I'm not sure of the rules down there, but I do know in Canada and the US you can train your own service dog. You should look into it, honestly, Adele. The difference Stella has made for me is night and day. Even though I still don't sleep well, because I basically haven't slept through a night in over 50 years, basically. But the difference she has made for me with my panic attacks, I have had her since 2018. So a year after my dad passed is when I got her. Um, I was having panic attacks that would take me to emergency probably a couple of times a month at that point. I haven't had a single one take me to the hospital since I got her. Since I got her and knew that she was going to be trained as my service dog, she naturally knew what to do for my panic attacks. She wasn't trained for it. She did it naturally, which is a rarity. Yeah, you can take a service dog into retail places. The only places service dogs are not allowed is operating rooms, anywhere that is considered sterile, which is like operating rooms, a laboratory, like a sterile laboratory. You'd be surprised. Stella around cats, and I'm not joking, she just looks at them. She does nothing whatsoever. She just looks at them. She doesn't bark. She doesn't jump at them. She just lays there and looks at them. I've been over to my friend's place and her cat hates dogs. And Stella just laid at my feet and looked at the cat and did absolutely nothing. If a service dog, because we train them, because I did the owner trainer, which is training um, with the help of a trainer. And if you're allergic to dogs, you can always get a breed like a poodle. That's one of the reasons I got Stella, because I am allergic to dogs, cats, and birds. Okay. I do have birds. The worst part of it is if I've got a cut on my hand and I'm handling my parrot, the dander will basically set my hands on fire. Other than that, I don't really have too much reaction except for a stuffy nose. Might be a good idea, Adele. But get a breed that make sure that you do the research on the breeds that you're getting because I mistakenly did not. I had no clue what to expect from a golden doodle. I didn't know what their personalities was like. I had no clue what the exercise requirements were. I should have done a lot more research. I mean, I've learned it now, but for my next service dog, you're dang right. I'm doing my research first, and I'm going to make sure, like I've got an idea of a that I want to go to for my next dog. Yeah, right, Barbie D. You're gonna get rid of your buddy. I doubt that. I don't even know where I was in here, but you guys can ask me anything about service dogs and I'll answer them. I do know that um, I've got some notes here and I'm just quickly reading over what I was doing. Oh, yes. And you do need to realize that when you get a service dog, at some point, they're going to retire. If you're going to get another one, you need to make sure that you have a dog or at least a breeder that has puppies coming ready around, like, because it takes 2 to 3 years to train these dogs. See, I trained Stella during COVID. So she didn't get her certification until she was 3.5, almost 4, because of COVID. But it gave me extra time to work with her. And you're never, ever, ever going to stop working and training these dogs. It's possible, Adele. What you need to do is maybe there is a breed of Shiba Inus that are very cat like in their personalities and temperaments. I think that's what they're called. Look into them because your cat may be more accepting. From the sounds of it, you're going to need a very relaxed breed, a very mellow breed around the cat. Yes, Stella lived with me during her training. I have had her since she was 10 weeks old. We were separated. I got her in late August, early September. I had her for a week, and then we had already planned a trip to Alaska with our son, a cruise, like a week-long cruise. So our trainer that was helping me with all of this, the guy who runs the program I'm in, um, he took her for an entire week during that time. And when we got back, the first thing I did was pick Stella up, and we haven't been separated since. And that was in 2018 till today. We have been separated 1 week since the day we got her. Outside of when she has been in for surgeries at the vet, um, which she was only ever in there overnight for 2 times. Actually, only once, sorry. She was in the vets overnight for the throat with the spear grasp because she was cut open from her jawbone to her chest to get all of the infection out from the spear grass because it was literally strangling her. The infection was so severe. But yes, you're going to need a dog that is mellow enough and calm enough around cats. You don't want a super high strung dog around a cat, especially if the cat hates dogs. It's just not the best idea. And a lot of people choose to train their service dogs to be kennel trained at nighttime so that they sleep in a kennel. Well, because of my PTSD, I also have severe nightmares. She will wake me up as I start having them. If my husband isn't awake and unable to wake me up, she will wake me up. So she lays literally from my hip down to my foot mostly. And she lays right up against me every night. And she's done that since I got her. I mean, I think the first few months I had her, I actually had a leash on her at night, and I would have it around my wrist because I wanted her, because of my PTSD, to stick close to me even at night. So it's all depending, because a lot of my trauma happened at night. Okay, like a lot of my childhood trauma that I'll do in my next life happened at night. So I don't sleep well. So I needed that feeling of safety. Not everybody will need that. It all depends on your own personal needs. I also needed a dog that was big enough to help me off the ground or to steady me when I'm dizzy, because I get very dizzy sometimes and I'll actually fall sometimes when I do walk. So, being the 125, 130 pounds that I am, you need a dog minimum one third of your body weight when they are full grown, for their safety and for yours. And they should also be x-rayed to make sure that their skeleton can support you if you need them to help you up off the ground. I have never actually used her for that. I will have her help me steady myself against a wall so I can get up. But I try not to use her because I want her to be able to stay my service dog as long as possible. And that is basically what the one thing you want to do is make sure that you get the right dog for your issues. If you have PTSD, if you've got if you have nightmares, if you have medical issues like diabetes or you need medication reminders, my husband could use one to remind him to take his medications because he's always forgetting to take his heart medications. Always. And he's had open heart surgery. So it all depends on the person's specific issues to the type and size of dog that they can do. It also depends on whether they're allergic to dogs. Thankfully, being a service dog handler in North America, no apartment, no condo, no HOA, none of that can control the size of a service dog because they are looked at by law as medical equipment. They're not looked at like dogs. They're actually considered medical equipment, which I understand, but I hate. Like, I don't really like looking at Stella like that because she's a living, breathing, feeling being. And she's the best thing I've ever had. Like, she really is. That you also need to know if you're going to need, like, I didn't realize how difficult the training was going to be for me physically. It was 2 days a week. And I would literally be like, I would do an hour training session or an hour and a half training session, and I'd be knocked out for 2 days. And then I'd have to go out and do another hour, hour and a half, 2 hour training session, and I'd be knocked out for another 2 days where I was in absolute agony or just passed out cold. So my next service dog, my husband and I have discussed this, will be trained by them. And I will have minimal, um, oh, what's it called? I'll have a little bit to do with the training, like I'll go and do some of it, but they will most of the training, and the dog won't come to me and live with me full time until they're certified because I just physically cannot do it again. It nearly killed me doing the 3 years with Stella. I wouldn't trade it for the world because it taught me a lot. Um, it helped me realize that because she's a working dog, like a breed that likes to work and likes to pull and that sort of stuff, I've discovered that she does much better when on leash if she's got a loose leash. If I'm not holding on to it and she can really feel me holding on to it, you know what I mean? Like it's not where it's tight with her, between her and I. When I'm in the wheelchair, I basically don't touch her leash at all. And she sticks right close to me. Like, even though it's a 7 foot leash, and she can go back one side or the other in front, she sticks to my left. And she sticks very close. And she's always checking on me. And because I learned that, I was able to help another woman who was having a similar issue with her golden doodle service dog in training. And I suggested for her to basically drop the leash, like have the leash loose. Don't have your hand on it when you're in the wheelchair or in your scooter. She did that and he stopped pulling right away. So every time I grab her leash, she starts pulling. And that's perfect for me because that way she can help me. Because there's times with my body that it'll freeze up. I'll be in mid step and suddenly I can't move. The connection from my brain to my lower half of my body to make the steps kind of freezes. So I can be in mid step and I cannot get my legs to move. I can still move my hands, I can still think straight, I can do all of that. So with the fact that she can do, oh, what is that called? She can basically pull me forward. She can get my engine moving again. Before I had her, my husband would actually have to come up and start moving my legs to get my body to start connecting again, like for the signals to reach. Now all I do is grab her leash a little tighter and she knows to pull me. And that gets my body in motion again. So you needing a service dog, you need to know exactly what you need them for. And you need to get a dog that is appropriate size and appropriately trained to assist. You may get a dog that naturally, like I wasn't planning on training Stella for migraines or for my blood pressure, because I have extremely low blood pressure. I've had it my entire life at about 84/59. That's been my blood pressure most of my life. Um, she will alert if it gets above what's considered normal of 120/80. She will come and force me to sit down, and she brings it down. Okay, Adele, have a wonderful day. Okay, God bless, and thanks for coming on. And it does make a big difference. Like, find out and discover exactly why you want a service dog, why you may need a service dog, and if it's actually worth it, because it is a very, 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 very expensive process. Um, Not so much if you're doing it yourself. Like, we cut our costs probably in half doing the owner trainer program. But getting a dog completely trained and delivered to you, you're looking at anywhere from 25K to 40K. And that's minimum. You won't get them for 10 to 14K up here in Canada. You're looking minimum 25 to $40,000 for a service dog up here. Like a fully trained and delivered service dog. And you also, like, I wish I had known that you are forever training the dogs, because there are days, there's weeks sometimes that I am stuck in bed, like today. Like, I am in bed today because I can barely move. My body is not functioning today. So I'm I'm stuck in bed. And that's hard on Stella. It's very hard on Stella. And but to keep the training up every time I'm able. Hi, short girl, welcome. She comes in, like, my husband will help. My son would help when he lived here. But every time I go out with her, I work on her downstays. I work on stepping over her. I work on her coming to me. Uh, the longer downstays are still a challenge for her. She's 5 years old, but I think that's because my body and the way my blood pressure goes up and down, she is constantly alerting when we're out to my blood pressure, because I will pass out. So if it goes too high or too low, she will actually alert me. And I think the longest downstay she ever did was about 10 minutes. Even though the test she was supposed to do a 15-20 minute downstay, the longest we could get was a 10 minute, because she would come over and do an alert for me. But I also, the testing, like the program I went through had a 3-day test process. In Canada, it's different for different companies. Our provincial test, where she got certified via the province, was a 45-minute of this guy walking around with me in a mall, watching her and me together. That was it. And she was certified. It was basically an obedience test. The company I went through did a very intensive 3-day constant doing downstays and comes and weaving in and out tiny areas and going up and down escalators or elevators and all of this, because with a service dog, they're going to be on escalators, they're going to be on elevators. One of Stella's favorite things that I've done with her during the training is I'd leave my wheelchair at the bottom, because I can't stand for a few minutes. I'd leave my wheelchair at the bottom of the escalator with her off leash in a sit position. I would ride up to the top of the escalator, wait till nobody was on it, and then I'd call her, and she'd come barreling up the escalator to come and sit next to me. And then we'd both come back down and into my chair. That was part of the test because you need to know that when you're out and about, the dogs in their work attire, that they know what they need to do, that they don't just wander and sniff and get into everything like she will. Dogs are dogs, even service dogs. They're living, breathing beings. They have bad days just like we do. There are days, have a good day, Adele. Um, there are days where I'm constantly correcting her. They're far and few between, thankfully. But it does happen. They do make mistakes. There are days that I have made mistakes and not taken her outside to do her business before I go in somewhere. I have walked into a mall and ended up having her doing a walking crap as we're going through the mall. It happens. I was so out of it that day. I had so many things on my brain. I didn't go up and make her do her business before we went in, which is now something I do no matter where we go. Even if she did it before we left the house, the moment we get somewhere, I take her to the closest grassy area and I command her to pee and I command her to go potty. Literally, Barbie D. Shite happens. And she has not had an accident since I've started doing it. Thank God. But it happens. They're living, breathing beings. They make mistakes. We're living, breathing beings. We make mistakes. And people tend to expect service dogs to be robots and to know everything dead on and never, ever, ever, ever make a mistake. And that's not feasible. It truly is not feasible. At least that's what I have discovered. These are things that I've had to learn throughout my journey of being a service dog handler. She is my very first service dog. Like I've never had one. I wish I'd had one my entire life because the difference she has made has been night and day in my life. Like I actually look forward to going out by myself. I can now go out like the other, I think last week when she was getting groomed for the first time in over 8 years. I went by myself and went to take some pictures. I went down to a local lagoon and took some bird pictures while she was being groomed. I haven't felt safe enough alone in a long time. And she's given me that ability. She's given me the ability to be able to feel a little more comfortable and safe to do stuff like that. Not fair for someone to have must be perfect expectations. Exactly, Barbie D. They are still living beings. They make mistakes. There are people out there. I have had people try to kick her. I have had people do what we call a sneak attack or a sneak pet or a walk by pet or a drive by pet. And they don't realize that every time, and I've witnessed this with Stella. She missed a major alert and I fell because some jackass that was walking down an aisle going the opposite direction we were, patted her as we were going by him, just ran his hand down her back as we were going by. And I didn't catch it. And because of that, it distracted her. And I ended up falling because she missed the alert because that caught her off guard. And it takes them a few minutes to get back into sync when something like that happens. Yeah, it was enough to distract her. I mean, when we do the training, we have them around other animals, small animals, we have them around traffic, we have them around heavy equipment. We do all of this stuff so that very little distracts them. But she loves people. She really does. If she's been stuck in the house for a couple of weeks because of my health issues, and someone asks if they can pet her, if she's been doing really well, and we're heading home, like we're at the pharmacy just about to grab my medications or whatever, and then we're going home, I'll allow it. But if we've just gone out and we're just starting, not a chance because I need her on the top of her game. Yeah, exactly, Barbie. But people don't. I have been sitting there, and this is one thing that drives me absolutely up a freaking wall. And it happens almost every time I go out. Believe it or not, seniors are the worst for this. Whether I'm walking, whether I'm sitting, whether I'm in my wheelchair, whether I'm with some, like my husband or son, whether I'm alone, it doesn't matter. Because I have Stella with me, even with her vest that has like minimum six different patches on it, showing that she is a service dog. They'll walk up and just start petting her. And I'll even ask them, please don't, she's working. But she's so beautiful. And they just keep going. They don't care. And that ends up causing issues, and that could actually cause somebody's life. Thankfully, she's not a cardiac dog. She's not a diabetic alert or an epileptic alert dog. Somebody who has those issues, that it could be life and death if their dog misses an alert. To distract them, even for that 4 or 5 seconds, could take somebody's life. I wish I could get away with that, Barbie D, because I do have a collapsible cane. But sadly, I'm also not that kind of person that can just whack someone. Even with the crap I've gone through, I'm a very gentle person. I'm not nasty. I tend to stand up for others. I don't tend to stand up for myself. And I can admit that it's something I've had to learn to deal with. It's something I'm trying to get over, and I'm trying to start standing up for myself. Um, Having Stella, I am starting to, but I don't always. And I do sit there afterwards and kick myself in the mental rump for not doing something, for not being more stern and saying, no, do not touch. And I know that with every different service dog, they have their own likes and dislikes. And that's something I didn't realize either. Like with Stella, and one lady that was in our program has gone through 3 dogs in the time that I've had Stella. She had one that had medical issues that had to be put down a year into the training. Her second service dog got attacked and stopped being like he now will go after other dogs. And if he doesn't know the dog, he'll go after them now. And no service dog can be like that. They have to be retired if they turn out like that. That's why I have never and will never take Stella to a dog park. I only, because she's a service dog, I can take her anywhere with me. So I can go into a schoolyard, I can go into a tennis court, I can do, I can go into places that most dogs are not allowed so that I have some protection from other dogs attacking her. I was actually sitting outside of emergency one time. They had made me sit outside because I had Stella, and I wish I had stood up for myself. I was there for a migraine. I had a really bad one. And while I was out there, some dirtbag and his two pet dogs, off leash, came and tried to attack Stella. Thankfully, I was able to basically put myself and my wheelchair in between them. And then I went and got in the hospital and told them that I had to stay inside because my dog was nearly attacked. So you've got to make sure that you've also got to protect your dog. So it's not just that they're helping you out, you actually have to try and help them out. I would probably put my body in between her and an attacking dog. I would rather get bit up and chewed up and spat out than have her ever hurt because she's done so much for me, because she's given me a life again. I mean, yes, I'm bedridden a lot, but she has given me part of myself back that I had lost many, many years ago because of all my PTSD issues and such. And because now all these memories from my childhood are starting to come out as I'm getting older and getting worse dealing with my chronic pain, memories that I have been able to block out are starting to pop their ugly little heads out, and they're not very nice. And that's what foster care's done. But I also have the last thing that I've learned is that you have to be willing to use every and any tool to let your dog work at the top of their ability. Like, no matter what, I will use a prong collar if needed. I have one. I rarely have ever used it. I carry it with me, just like I carry um, her vibration collar. I'll have the vibration collar on her and the remote on my lap, but I have never really needed to use it. Just her wearing it, and it vibrates like, when you put your phone on silent and on vibrate in your pocket or your purse so it doesn't ring and annoy everyone. That's pretty much what the vibration collars do. Like, I have shock part of it completely down to zero. I won't ever use that feature of the collar. It's not something I like. A lot of the time, the sound that it makes, because I have it's got a beep feature, it's got the vibration feature, and it's got a shock feature. The shock feature is shut off. The beep and the vibration. If and when I have ever had to use it, it's a quick tap and done. And she gets back into line right then and there. Like, because she has started to bark at certain things and at certain people. Like, if I'm in the bedroom, we had some painters come into the house to do some painting, and she didn't know them, and I was stuck in bed that day, and she saw them in the hallway and didn't know them and started barking. I hit the beep on the collar and she stopped right away. So when you have a service dog, don't be afraid to use these tools. If you see somebody that has a service dog that has a prong collar on or a vibration collar on, a lot of us only use the mildest feature on those. And if they're using them constantly, then they should retrain the dog and also retrain themselves. Because with the service dogs, um, they know their job. Like Stella knows her job. She knows when I'm going to have a migraine, and when it gets closer, she gets very persistent and will not get out of my face because she comes and lays across my lap and starts licking my face for migraines or licking my hand for panic attacks. And she will not leave me alone if it's imminent, like if it's going to be within the next few minutes. I take the medication for it. She walks away. As soon as because it's one that dissolves, as soon as she sees and smells that I've taken that medication, she gets up off me and goes about and does whatever she wants to do. Right now, she is sleeping on the other side of the bed where my husband usually is. So the all the tools that we have and use, we use them to keep their training at top of the line. Because you don't want a dog to get to the point where you basically have to retrain them from start. Because that's a long freaking process. It was a 3-year process with Stella, partially because of COVID, because we do training with glass walls with them on a second or third floor where there's a glass wall in a lot of malls. We have them lay right up against that so they can see, because a lot of dogs will panic when they see that sort of thing or when they get near that sort of thing, or a glass elevator, or even an elevator or escalator, or stairs that are enclosed. Some dogs will panic in those situations. So you constantly have to reinforce those types of behaviors and those types of situations so that the dog doesn't become frightened of it. Because when Stella's rusty, she's rusty. And I have to start from step one again with doing something, do it several times in a row, reward her, and do this for a few times so that she gets back to being comfortable with these situations. And it just makes it easier for her. But you're basically never going to stop training with a service dog ever, because they do get rusty on one skill or another if you're not using them every single day. And that's something I didn't realize. And as I'm becoming less mobile, it's becoming harder for me to do. That's why I said my next service dog will have to be fully trained by others, with just me helping at the tail end. And that's something that people don't realize when they start looking into service dogs. Know your limits, find out the dog's limits, and try to find the happy medium, if you can understand what I mean. Like finding where the dog can work at its peak and you can work without dropping down and ending up in the hospital or worse. You want to try and make sure that you're at a level where you can both sort of work together so that you're both doing the best you're able to do. Like with medication alerts, with um, alerts for fainting or heart rate or blood pressure or migraines or seizures or panic attacks. Because my panic attacks used to get so bad that I would hyperventilate to the point where I'd pass out. And before I even realized I was having, I couldn't understand what was going on. Like I would end up so out of it mentally when I'd have those panic attacks that I wouldn't even know my son. But the last time that happened, I was told I asked for Stella. The last time I had no clue what was going on around me, I had actually asked for Stella, which to me was really surprising. So it shows me that she has made a massive difference. And I think if you feel you need or a service dog could help you enjoy your life or get your life going better than what it is, please look into it. And hi, short girl. Sorry it took me a minute, hon. But it's the difference they make for you. You'd be absolutely freaking amazed what these dogs can do. Even if you get a service horse, because I know in the US they also use miniature horses for certain issues. Personally, I'd love to have the horse. I just don't have the space for one. But the difference that Stella has made in my life and helped me deal with things so that I'm not shut in like I was becoming. I was becoming more and more of a shut in every day. And the help that she's given me, I wouldn't trade for anything. So if you feel that one of these wonderful animals can help you, seriously look into it. Look into your local laws, your local regulations. Look into possible trainers in your area that can help you through the process or that are willing to help you through the process. Or if you think your dog, see, up here in North America, Canada, and the USA, a service dog is considered a dog that does one task, at least one task. And the task is migraine alert, medication alert, panic attack alert, or helping you through a panic attack. Um, Going to the door when somebody comes to it because you're hard of hearing and coming back and letting you know. Um, Letting you know that you're going to have a seizure, letting you know that your blood sugar's up or down. Every one of those is considered by law a task. As long as the dog has that one task and can sit, stay, lay down, and behave in public, like is considered properly, like has good obedience training, you could probably get that dog certified as a service dog. So if you need one or feel that you need one, seriously look into your local and federal rules and regulations for service dogs because these animals are miracle workers in more ways than one. They truly are. Because I know Stella's made a massive difference for me. You could ask anyone in my family or anyone who knows me. I have changed so much since I've gotten her. And not for the worse, thankfully. But I think that's all. Does anyone want to ask me anything else? Oh yeah, Barbie D, they can really be in tune with you, like Stella from day one. Um, and it took me a while to realize that she was letting me know that I had a migraine coming because I never trained her for that. But she is so freaking accurate on these, and to the point where she has given me as much as a 9-hour warning that I had one coming. So it must be a chemical my body gives off that she smells. And now even my older dog is starting to alert to that. She's 11, almost 12, with Cushing's and cancer. And she's now starting to do the same sort of things Stella is doing when I have a migraine coming. Stella just gets more persistent the closer it's coming. Like if it's going to happen in the next hour, she won't leave me alone. Like she would not lay down and be sleeping like she is right now if it's going to hit within the next hour. But the moment it's going to hit within the next hour, she will get in my face and just nonstop will not leave me alone. So I take my migraine medication and I drink some Gatorade. And that helps me. I still get the migraine a lot of the time, but it's much milder. It's just more like a really bad headache. It's not a hospitalization migraine, if you understand what I mean. Like I've been to the hospital once with a no, sorry, twice since I've had Stella with migraines. Um, because of her, I now take the medication before they hit, and that seems to have made quite a difference. See, that could be a service animal. That horse could be a service animal. Stella actually will help me walk. Like when I said that I got really unsteady those times, or when I freeze, I will grab her leash or her vest because each one of her vests has a handle on it. Because she's so tall, she's basically right there with the handle. And I just grab that, and she knows to basically start pulling me forward when I do that. And they're great that way. Like you'd be really surprised at how much a service dog or service horse can help a person. And in so many ways, like I have been blown away. But I truly wish I had known that the training never ends, that you never will pee again in peace. You will never poop alone. You will never bathe alone. Unless you've trained your dog to be in a kennel at night, you will never sleep alone. Um, I can't even take a drive alone. So, and I used to love going for long drives by myself. Used to love it. That used to be one of my de-stressors is I'd go for a 3 or 4 hour drive. I couldn't even do 5 minutes before I got her. But I still can't do that now because she will go crazy if I try to leave without her. So just be prepared if you ever do get a service dog, what you're going to be getting into and the equipment you're going to need. Because as they grow, you're going to need different sizes. You're going to need different types depending on where you live in the world and what time of year it is. Because I know in the summer, the asphalt here can get insanely hot. Like I wouldn't walk barefoot because I'd burn the bejeebers out of the bottom of my feet. Well, I'm not going to make Stella walk on that in her bare feet because they're going to burn her paws. or the pads of her paws. And if it's too hot for you, it's definitely too hot for them. They just can't tell you that. So make sure that you know everything you're going to need, the best type of foods for that dog to keep them as healthy and vital for as long as possible. Exactly, Barbie D. She's allowed me to start living my life again because I had become a recluse in many, many, many ways because of my medical issues and my PTSD. And thanks to having Stella, I can now live my life. But I also have a lot more responsibility than I knew when I first went in. Like, I didn't know that the training basically never ends. You will have to keep on top of their training for their entire working career. Because if they don't do a certain task for a long time, they can forget it or just completely ignore it. Same with like if they don't have to do the long down stays. Now I can go to a salon and have my hair done, which takes 2 to 3 hours because I have waist length hair. And she will stay on a blanket at my feet for that entire time in a down state. Where before, unless she gets up to alert me. But other than that, it wouldn't be more than 5, 10 minutes. And she was constantly up and down. So that's something I've always got to work on with her. So the training truly never ends. Buying different equipment because equipment breaks or wears out. Or you find I found some funny patches that I wanted to get. And I want to get some funny Pikachu patches, like service dog patches with Pikachu on it. I've got professional patches and I've got some fun patches. I've got one that says, if found dead, delete my browser history. Every time someone sees that, they crack up. So you've got, there's always going to be something that your dog's going to need. They're going to need toys, they're going to need leashes, they're going to need food, they're going to need boots, they're going to need socks, they're going to need vests that change with their weight, with their size as they grow. So these are things that I didn't realize going into it. So it is never ending, but I would do it all over again. The benefits for me outweigh the cons a millionfold. And I mean that sincerely. They truly do outweigh the cons in every sense of the word. So if you feel that you need a service dog or that you got medical issues that you feel could benefit having a service dog, such as diabetes, epilepsy, migraines, high blood pressure, low blood pressure, POTS, anything like that, talk to your doctor because in North America, you basically need a note from the doctor saying that yes, you could benefit from a service dog. Once you've got that, find out your local laws, your local and federal laws, in fact, to do with a service dog. Find a well respected and good non-physical trainer because you don't want a trainer that corrects dogs by smacking them or doing something like that. You want one that's a positive reinforcement in their training because it gets the dog a lot further when you do that. At least I have found that. We had one girl in the program that would smack her dog every time he barked, and she ended up being booted out of the program. because his barking got worse due to it. So do your research of the rules in your area, what kind of certifications you need to get the dog certified. I know down in the US, you don't need a certificate that says you've got a service dog, but up here in the program I'm in, when she completed her test, her 3-day test, which was 2 hours a day that I did this test, he'd ask us to do certain situations and I'd have to do them. She actually passed with a 98%, thankfully. But find out what your local rules are and what you need. Do not do the Amazon. You can get your equipment like the vests and the patches and stuff off Amazon, but don't ever do the registration thing on Amazon because that's a scam. Point blank, period. That is a scam. People are using it saying that their pets are service dogs, and you can usually spot a fake service dog by just their behavior. A service dog doesn't sniff everything in sight. A service dog will always, always, always check in with their handler. Like Stella's always looking up at me when we're out. Like she's every couple of seconds, she looks over at me to check on me. I can correct her with a word. If you've got somebody who's got a dog that's lunging and barking and pulling, moving all around and not in a nice heel, you most likely have seen a fake service dog. My best advice for anybody is to check your local rules and laws, find a very, very good trainer, find out what you need if you need to get the dogs certified or carded, because I got an actual picture ID from my program. It has Stella's picture on one side with the year and certain information about the like her chip number and all that, because she has to be chipped, microchip. And then on the other side, it has my picture and my name and information saying that I am her handler. And that is just with my program. So depending on the program and where you are in the world, it may be a little different each way on what's required. But whenever you see these Amazon um, certified service dogs, those are usually just forewarning that that happened. Okay. But if you have any questions after this, I'm going to go, guys. I am absolutely exhausted. But if you have any questions, please, please, please leave them for me and I will try to answer them as soon as possible. Thank you for coming, everyone. God bless. Bye.